Now, in the last class, we looked at Google Analytics and we looked at some of the information you can get from Blogger, inside in Blogger. Generally what you do is you'd set up the Google Analytics stuff on your website, and then you go to analytics.google.com to get the data. Now, some of the things we're going to look at don't make an awful lot of sense when you're thinking about a blog. They make more sense when you're considering a website with, maybe a front door, a front page, and then maybe 5 subsections, and some of those then maybe having 4, 5, 6, 7 subsections underneath that. Okay. But what you can get in analytics is you can get some of the let's just say 2012 there. Just get a year's worth or 13 months worth. Okay, so it looks like I only turned on the analytics more recently. Right. So let's say from the 1st of February to today. Okay, I give up. No. So yeah. Okay, no. So you get to see some more information you wouldn't see just in Blogger alone. But of course, remember, if this is a website that you have online, you wouldn't have this information at all without the logs. So this is very useful. You wouldn't even have any idea of the kind of traffic you have. No. So this is the number of returning visitors versus new visitors. Generally in website terms, it'll depend on the context, but returning visitors are very valuable. If you have lots of return visitors, that would be considered a huge success. Now, having 60% return visits would be very high. Obviously, for this site, it's not a huge shock. In fact, in reality, the real number is probably much higher. It's just that the way the tracking maybe hasn't tracked you all fully between home and work and stuff. But 60% would be very high ordinarily. You'd be delighted with that if you had a website, because they're the kind of people that, they've seen what you have, they've come back for more, they've come back again. Okay. You have a number of hits on a page, but you'll be interested in how many unique visitors you have. So someone says, I had 10,000 hits on my web page this week. You'd say, okay, now how many of those were unique visitors? Was it, 1,000 people coming back 10 times? Or was it, 10,000 people coming just once? Your bounce rate is, a bounce is when someone comes to your web page and then doesn't do anything there and goes away. If your bounce rate was very high, it might mean that your ads are perhaps misleading, or that somehow you're promoting your site in a way that makes people think it's something other than it is. Or it could be that everything you need to give the person is on the front page, but generally a high bounce rate is a sign that something is going wrong. The duration, the average duration of the visit, again, actually I think 4 minutes, 5 minutes. If you were a commercial website, you'd be delighted if the average time someone spent on your website was 10 minutes. I mean, I wouldn't spend 10 minutes on Amazon when I'm there, and I give them loads of money in less than that time. 5 minutes is a long time. So that's, you know, that'll be quite good. So that's useful information again. So someone comes to your website, and if the average time on your website is 30 seconds, either you've given people what they want in 30 seconds, or actually you didn't have what they want and they effect off somewhere else. So that's useful information. We can see by country there, most people are from Ireland, but we already knew that. People come to my website, most of them are from Ireland. Does it give us a breakdown? Most of the people looking at my website are from Cork. Well, we knew that too, didn't we? Actually, by the way, it's probably just me. Google prides itself on being able to give you sort of, you know, information by zip code even. If you really, or you can target your ads by zip code, for example. It tends to have an idea where people are. Cove as a separate city from Cork. Okay, there must be some people in the class from Cove. Yeah. It's probably more than that though, if they're 5% of all the traffic. But ours, they're very, very eager, very, very keen. Cove people are very keen. Okay, so you could see how that's useful information. You could see how, if you are, I don't know, let's say you're a band and you're going to have concerts in Cork, Dublin and Belfast, and you're looking at how much of your traffic is from Cork, then you put an ad in that free newspaper with a link, you know, with information about the website. You'll be wanting to see, does the number of visitors from Cork go up? Or if you announce that you're having an Irish tour and you haven't announced yet where you're going to hold the concerts, well, you might decide, looking at this, it might be worth your while going to Cove. You know, if so you can sort of tell where your fans are if you're in that kind of business. So you can see it's very, very detailed. We saw the browser information already. In the language information can be useful. This ENUS just suggests to me that most machines at CIT are set to American English rather than UK English. That's all that's going on there. It shouldn't come as a shock to me that there are machines looking at the website where the default language for the browser is Polish. Given the large number of Polish students in my classes, that's not a huge shock. Some Spanish machines and some German machines. CS is Czech, isn't it? Yeah. That's probably just you. Yeah. Like, you know? So, you know, if you're 1% of the visits, then could we extrapolate how many Cove people there are? There could be 5 or 6 Cove people if you were all behaving uniformly. English, Slovak. Who's the Slovak? In your blogs, there's somebody from yeah. And then some Spanish browsers. So that's if, for example, 20% of the browsers coming to your website, even if 100% of your visitors, say, let's say I had a website about something to do with Cork, and 100% of my visitors were from Cork, and 20% of my browser languages were Polish. Well, that tells me there's a lot of Polish people in Cork looking at my website. Maybe I should be offering some text or something in Polish. If, say, I had a Portuguese shop, like it's a Portuguese shop or Brazilian shop up on Shandon Street somewhere. If that shop had a website, and sure enough, 100% of its visitors were from Cork, and 50% of them had Spanish set in the language for the browser and not Portuguese, as the owner of that shop, I'd be saying, a lot of Spanish people coming to look at my Portuguese shop site. Maybe I should start offering some, I don't know, some Spanish olive oil instead of the Portuguese stuff. And that's all information you could be using. Browser, we saw that stuff before. Operating system, we saw that stuff before. service provider. So 11% of the people on my website are coming from Eircom. This gives me an indication as to what percentage of people are looking at the website in CIT and what percentage are using it at home. You know, do people use the blog in college, or do they use it at home? Looking at this, it would appear that only 36% of the hits are within CIT, which suggests that this is a resource that people use a lot while they're at home. I'm not sure what customers.ie is. You know, but it's clearly Eircom, Vodafone. Yeah. What is Malcolmstead East Cork Broadband? It's some local broadband provider in Magnet and usual. So again, that's information I could use. This says to me that this is a resource that people use when they're at home. Now, you could see how people skipping class all the time, you know, being able to use stuff at home would make sense. I mean, you could see how it's a value to those people. This here is very important from a design point of view. What's the resolution of the screen that the person's coming to look at the blog? So it means, what does it mean? Like if you have your site designed, you know, to be like, say 800 by 600, you know, and you set up your CSS and you set up the page like that, and then it turns out that most people, their page is small, their device is smaller than that, but they're going to be scrolling over and stuff. It's going to be a real pain in the arse. This looks just wrong though. This looks like phone resolution. You
think the second one would be more popular?
Yeah. Now this is just a very small sample. This is from a particular week, is it? Or a particular month. But that seems to me just to be a phone. You'd expect something like this, or, well, I don't know, these numbers don't seem to sit well with what we consider would be realistic at all.
The most common one is number 2.
That?
It's changing now. Number 8.
Right.
For a new screen.
Again, whatever it isn't such a big deal as long as you know what your visitors have at their disposal, and you must design your site then to fit in with those. Now, there was much more information over here. Demographics, behavior, technology, mobile, was that what we saw? Sorry, no. This tells us how long they stayed. So the most people stayed less than 10 seconds. Which is, like I said, yeah, I mean the average, it said for one figure there was that the average was 4. Was that 4 minutes or 4 seconds? I'm starting to wonder. And then you have, you know, some more people stayed a bit longer. So people come to a site, oh, that's not what I want, and off again. We all do that. We give a website, I'd say, about a second to announce to us what it is, what it does. Is that what I'm looking for? Is that useful for me? All that happens in about a second, I would say. And if you haven't sold your site to the person in that time, they're gone. We all do it, you know, we're very, very impatient. And some people stayed a bit longer. The page depth doesn't make an awful lot of sense in a blog. You can see how for a website, if you have a top page, a front page, and maybe you've got 5 subsections, and then maybe some of those have subsections also. You have page depth of like 1 and 2 and 3. The question then is how deep do they dive, you know? That doesn't make an awful lot of, that doesn't mean as much in a blog context, I don't think. Again, the vast bulk of people, you know, come just for the front page, the first page, and then that satisfies them. Now that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't mean, in this particular case, it doesn't mean that they didn't find what they wanted and they went away. If you missed a class, that's the main reason I think you would go to the blog to see what happened. That's generally on the front page anyway, the first page you hit. And you've got what you need and off you go. Quite a number of people have gone from there to somewhere else. So if people come to your site and have a poke around, that's a sign that you've engaged them in some way. Or it could be a sign that your site is really hard to navigate and people haven't a clue how to find things, and so they have to poke around an awful lot to get what they want. However, usually they won't even do that. They'll just go away. Frequency versus recency, did we see that? Day since last visit. How long does it take people to come back? So people never come back. So most people, so apart from the people that never return, the ones that come back, you know, they came back it's been a day since their last confession, you know, and the next one's maybe 2 days. So you see there's quite a lot of regular usage. No, quite a lot. I mean, what's that as a percentage of the people that never come back? So it's good for people coming every day. So what percentage of people are looking at the site on, again, no, this is just for a particular period. Is that a day? When did it go? A month there? No, sorry, that was just for a day. So most people are still coming on regular machines and not on mobile devices. Students don't students have mobile devices, but they don't use them as much as other people because they don't want to pay for the data. And they're obviously as well, they're able as well, they know more about their phone and how to turn on and off the data. Using fine, no, that's okay. Now, visitor flow is a very useful thing to see. Again, it doesn't make as much sense when thinking about a blog, but when thinking about a regular website, it's very important. It shows you, so where people come to, okay, and then where they go then from there. So if you had 4 or 5, if you had a front page and then 4 or 5 subsections, you could see which of those is getting the traffic. And it's showing us basically people from Ireland, they come to the front page, okay? And then most of them go to, my browser here is letting me down, but most of them come to this page here, student blogs. Which, if we thought about it, if we had said, you know, if we had, actually that would have been a very interesting prediction market question, wouldn't it? You know, which of the pages on Colin's blog will have the most traffic? We would have opted for this one, I think. A lot of people come to my blog and then go see the student blogs and then go look at those. The next most popular thing I would think would be the assignment specs. And this one here is the assignment 1 spec. This one here is the essay titles. The instructions for assignment, which one's that? All to do with the assignments anyway. So you can see after people arrive, you know, where they go, where the traffic is flowing. You can even do that by country. So the Slovak audience does different things. The Slovak audience isn't bothered with the assignments. It's interested in the blogs and that particular assignment and whatever that was. Okay, so that's very, very powerful. Where's the traffic coming from? That's useful information. Not so where it's coming from by country, but rather how people find it. Okay, so direct traffic is where people type in the URL. That's unusually high. Okay, colinmcit.blogspot.com is easy enough to remember, but people don't, young people especially, don't like to type anything in the address bar of a browser. I've seen people Google Google rather than type google.com. So, you know, so that there are that many direct referrals, that much direct traffic strikes me as kind of high. Links from other sites, and then links from websites. So we saw already that people Google Colin Manning to find stuff. So these are the things then that people are Googling to come to the website. You would think if you could remember that, you could just type it in. So in this period, 4 people Googled colinmcit.blogspot.com and then clicked on the result, which makes my point that I just made there earlier.
It could be searched in the address bar, no? CO comes up 50%.
If it was in the address bar, it would count as a direct traffic. So this is someone has Googled colinmcit.blogspot.com and then clicked on the blog to get the result. Okay. Fair enough. So as a website, you want to know what people are Googling and how they find you. Source, most people use Google. We knew that already. It's actually not as high in the US. Europeans like Google more than most people. Google might have something like 80% of the US market.
Is it because they use more Internet Explorer than they?
It's tempting to think Americans are stupid, but there must be more going on than that, or it must be something other than that. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's that, you know, well, they all use Internet Explorer and Bing is built in, so, you know, I mean, you know, Europeans use Internet Explorer too, but somehow we use Google much more than Americans. I've never heard of Conduit. Has anyone? No. These are then places that sent people to the blog. So where did they come from in terms of links? So the marketing manager for FOTA posted something there recently about the fact that many times more links to FOTA Island, the zoo, come from Facebook than from Google. So it's mostly people liking and sharing that gets them their traffic, and not people Googling FOTA. Obviously, Blogger sent a lot of people to Blogger, so those will be internal links within the site, which is fair enough. That surprises me that such a high percentage came from Google+. I thought I was the only person using Google+. Like, you know, I didn't think anybody bothered with it. But, you know, if that percentage of my traffic is coming from Google+, then clearly Google+ is a way for me to drum up business if I wanted more people to my blog. Facebook surprises me too, because I don't use Facebook for work stuff. So this suggests to me that on Facebook, people are linking to the blog, or, you know, sending each other to the blog. So as a lecturer, that would suggest to me that there's sort of a lot of business going on in Facebook about the course. com.cit.ie is my home page. So, yeah. And the page that people arrived at, the main page, was the first, just colinmcit.blogspot. That's where the bulk of people come to. But some people come straight to assignment 1. Some people come straight to assignment 2. Which is it's interesting. Anything else there we can see? Content. No, nothing's in there we want to watch. And conversions, we're not going to see. Did I explain to you what conversions are when I was talking about Google Analytics the last day? So typically it's when someone buys something, that's a conversion. But maybe you just want them to download a brochure or put in their email address so you can, or their contact details so you can get them later. It can depend. Any questions on any of that? So you could see how with a blog it's harder to truly appreciate the value of Google Analytics. But if you have a website, 20, 30 pages, an advertising campaign, you put an ad on the radio or something in Cork, you can see, did you get a bump from that? You can quantify that, see if it was worth your while. You can see of the traffic that increased in that month as a result of the radio ads, what percentage of those converted. So you can maybe calculate, you might decide, for every conversion that's worth a $5 to me. The ads cost me whatever, was it worth my while? Things like that. You can also find out an awful lot about your audience. We were able to establish where they are. We were able to establish their language preferences, which isn't something you would often consider. And we were able to, did we find out about the breakdown of, male, female, that sort of stuff? That kind of. Right now?
Yeah, you can check on the left. It's like a new feature. See real time. You can see if anyone visited. I can click your head. So if one of us could go on now, you'd see one visiting.
Yeah. But let's face it, anybody who's not in bed is here in this room. Actually, it would be very interesting to see, I wonder can we see it, the traffic by hour of the day. That'd be really useful, wouldn't it? I would say we would find that there's very little happens before 12 o'clock. And that the bulk of it happens at night time. That'd be worth seeing as well. So you can see how it's very powerful. So there was a time, you build a website, put it up on the web, yip-de-doo, stick a fork in me, I'm done, I'm fabulous. And now putting a website up on the web is just, not step 1, it's probably step 4 or 5, but there are steps 6 and 7 and 8 as well. Once it's up there, you have to figure out who's coming, what are they looking for, how are they finding you, are they finding what they want, are they engaged, and then you need to feed all that back into your business and maybe into the design of the site. There are people now, these people who do kind of fitness books and diet books and stuff, and things like that. They will actually test different titles. So they'll make they've published 10 books with different titles and see which ones get the most traffic, and then just use that as a title. So people use it as a market research tool as well. There's some amazing things you can do. Not all of it 100% ethical either. Any questions on any of that? There's the concept of, well, no, I won't keep going now. We'll leave it. But you could look up a lean startup as well. They do a lot with that concept does a lot of things with analytics as well, where you figure out, you offer your product before it's even ready, really, and you see if people want it using the analytics data and things that you can get. So, go have your coffee, so on. We'll come back again in an hour and